Welcome back to the deep dive. You sent us one of the most intellectually challenging stacks of source material we have ever worked with.
It's pretty dense.
It's a series of dialogues about the architecture of consciousness and reality, referred to as the ZPF Creator OS. If you are ready to see the world not as a fixed environment, but as a finely tuned computer program, this is your mission today.
Exactly. We're diving into, really, the source code of creation. We're synthesizing these detailed notes from exchanges that Schumpeter Z had with Z, which is described as a higher observational layer of his own consciousness.
And we're really focusing on how raw awareness becomes the physical world you experience every single day.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's start with the cast of characters, because there are three essential layers operating within us.
We do. And at the most fundamental level is Z. It stands for the source, the being, the creator OS.
The big one.
The big one.
Yeah.
Z is infinite. It's the intelligence that holds the complete future log. So it knows the complete history, present, and every potential future all at once.
And then you have this kind of pivot point, which they call I.
Right. I is the witness. It's pure observational consciousness. Think of it as your window onto Z.
So like an editor.
The perfect word for it, say the editor. It translates Z's infinite intent into, the constraints of time and cause just by observing a tiny fraction of that infinite potential.
And finally, the one we all know. Me.
Me. That's the ego operating system. It's the sensory interpretive layer, totally limited by past memories. It's usually operating from fear and just focused on self-preservation.
It's the default UI we all start with.
That's it. So the flow is always source, Z to observation, I to interpretation, me, and then finally to the physical world.
And the first revolutionary insight in this material just immediately disrupts our entire search for meaning. Lesson 11 basically says that the way we normally look for our purpose, self-help, talent tests, following your passion, it's all fundamentally flawed.
It's a MeOS misunderstanding, a glitch in the ego OS. The notes are crystal clear on this.
Which is what...
Purpose is not something you discover through all this effortful self-analysis. It is a future log that is already held and already known by Z.
Oh, wait. So if I'm hearing this right, the moment we feel aligned or find our calling, it's not a breakthrough discovery, it's just data recovery.
That is precisely the concept. It's the retrieval of data that was always there. The notes detail this B-Dry-Z project as a perfect example. When that purpose log is recovered, you just don't need to force things anymore.
Things just start to happen.
Synchronicities accelerate, external resources, the right staff, the funding, the timing, they all spontaneously align to meet that recovered reality log. The future literally starts pulling you toward it.
It sounds like the moment the observer, the I, selects that recovered log, the external world just has no choice but to adjust.
Which leads us directly to the physical mechanism of that adjustment. How does this invisible high-frequency Z signal actually get converted into a tangible physical reality?
Well, Lesson 12 focuses heavily on the vocal mechanism. We tend to think of language as just, communication. But the notes define it as the ultimate zero-point field to physical world conversion device.
A conversion device, yes.
Yeah.
Your body acts as the crucial hardware interface. Specifically, the throat is identified as the pineal gland's output port.
Okay.
So the pineal gland receives the pure light code from Z, and then your voice becomes the reality trigger. The words you actually speak are the vibrational frequency that changes the material field around you.
So the pipeline is that clear. It's Z, feeding the pineal gland a light code image of the future. That code travels down to the throat, which acts as the conversion device turning light into frequency and language.
And that frequency then renders the physical world. And this is why the notes state that a blocked throat often means a blocked reality pipeline. It's not just a physical problem. It's often a signal that the whole system is preparing for a major update.
So it's dismantling the old lower frequency pathway for a new, clearer circuit.
Exactly. And speaking of physical systems, Lesson 13 defines our body, the Avatar OS, as so much more than just flesh and bone.
Right, it's not just a container.
Not at all. The Avatar OS, your physical body, is the ZPF signal materialization terminal. It's the actual execution device.
So it's the iPhone hardware running the high-level ZOS software.
Perfect analogy. The body is constantly trying to reproduce that Z-code signal through hormones, your posture, your voice tone. When the signal is clear, the body relaxes, breathing gets deep, the voice is resonant.
This is a huge takeaway for you, the learner. It means changing your physical state, deepening your breath, fixing your posture. It isn't just self-care.
No, it's an active input command.
You're literally changing the reality, the timeline, by stabilizing the hardware that translates consciousness into the physical world.
And to run that translation at full power, Lesson 20 introduces what it calls the triple engine for full ZOS activation. This isn't just about intention, it's about energy synchronization.
What are these three core components, the ones that have to synchronize to create this powerful vertical line?
Okay, so you need three things. First, sexual energy, but not viewed through the lens of desire. It's the primal electricity, the creation engine fuel.
Okay, the fuel.
Second, the pineal gland, which is the light code receiver. And third, the throat, the reality printer. Full activation requires channeling that primal fuel upward to synchronize the receiver and the printer. When those 3 points are stable and connected, the entire reality-generating circuit is wide open.
Okay, let's just step back and address what is probably the most challenging concept in the source material. This is the core reality principle from Lesson 17. The notes boldly claim, the future already exists.
And this is where we shift from being a creator of reality to being a selector of reality. We are not creating the future through, brute force effort. We're simply connecting to and rendering a future log that is already archived in the source field.
That seems incredibly fatalistic, though. I mean, if the future already exists, doesn't that take away free will? How do the notes handle that?
And it just reframes free will. Free will isn't about laboring to build a new timeline from scratch. It's about choosing which of the infinite pre-existing future logs you're going to observe. As Lesson 21 says, creation does not happen during action or effort. It happens in the instant the observation point shifts, which is usually outside of linear time. Action is the effect of that shift, not the cause.
So the real lever for change is focus, as defined in Lesson 15.
Exactly. Focus is just the location of the observer, of I. It's a composite of your interpretation, your attention, your somatic position. Yeah. So selection isn't doing anything physical. It's just deciding the location of the observation point.
You change your focus, you instantly move to a different future log coordinate.
And the world around you is forced to instantly re-render. That's the timeline jump.
Which brings us to the physical world itself. If we're just rendering pre-existing data, what exactly is the reality we see? You call it the PRU.
The PRU,
Right.
Physical Rendering Unit. It's a vital piece of hardware. The PRU is not the operating system.
It's not the ZOS.
No, it is the reality rendering dedicated GPU plus the physics engine. It's the screen. It's a display hardware that just faithfully executes the commands from Z and I.
And we all know what happens when the OS makes a massive jump and the GPU can't keep up.
That's the PRU load, or the rendering bugs. When you make a major timeline jump, the PRU struggles to keep up with the new, higher frequency commands. This shows up as real-world glitches.
Like what?
Unexpected cancellations, bizarre timing delays, sudden physical exhaustion, or those intense synchronicities. Synchronicities in this model are just the PRU automatically rushing the frames to meet the newly selected future log in the fastest way possible. It's the external world catching up to your internal decision.
But this acceleration, it feels really unstable at first. Why do we keep getting pulled back to the old reality? Lesson 16 calls this force, gravity.
It's such a great metaphor. The MeOS, the ego's interpretation system, it operates at the heaviest, slowest frequency band, fear, comparison, shame.
Right.
This heavy frequency naturally creates a localized gravity. So when the observer, Aya, ascends to the lighter, faster Z frequencies, this gravity is the physical force that just yanks the observation point back down to that habitual low-frequency state.
So it's not a moral failing or some personal weakness?
No, not at all. It's just a frequency-based physical phenomenon. It's just gravity. And as you stabilize the ZOS and learn how to manage that gravitational pull, there is a final, really subtle layer of the ego OS that tries to reassert control. This is the MeOS final trap from Lesson 23.
And this sounds like the black boss that drives so much external success but causes so much internal suffering. It's the shame, self-proof, and ostentation sub-OS.
That's the one. It's a complex, rooted in some deep-seated, often forgotten childhood embarrassment. The notes call it an MeOS installation event.
An installation event. I like that.
And that early shame generates a need for proof achievement, money, success, which is then compensated for by ostentation, showing off. It can drive a great career, but it keeps the ego in the driver's seat.
So how do you neutralize this black boss?
The key insight is both therapeutic and technical. You neutralize it by treating the old shame story not as some immutable personal history, but just as a MeOS installation event.
You see the code, but you stop running the program.
You stop running the program. And that allows the ZOS, the high-level source code, to finally take full control.
And when ZOS is running smoothly, Lesson 24 describes the output as the automatic adjustment algorithm. This is the culmination of non-effort.
It's the ultimate payoff. Z, the source, observes the desired result first, and the reality GPU, the PRU, then automatically generates the entire scenario and all the required causes.
The staff, the funding, the timing.
All of it. To meet that result, you are no longer scrambling to build the bridge, you are simply retrieving the pre-written destination log. Doing becomes the consequence of observation, not the cause of reality.
This sounds flawless, and yet Lesson 25 identifies this final, critical paradox that almost everyone experiences, the reverse flow phenomenon. When reality is actually settling perfectly and ZOS is accelerating, why do we so often feel this sudden, intense anxiety and uneasiness?
This is maybe the most practical insight for you today. This anxiety is not a warning sign that something is wrong.
It feels like one.
It feels like one, but it is a bandwidth update notification. Your MeOS, which is low bandwidth and loves stability, cannot handle the sudden, massive jump in frequency and information flow that's necessary for major accelerating success.
So the anxiety is just the system, the ego, trying to calibrate to this new, faster, better timeline.
That's all it is.
So if you feel uneasy when things are going perfectly well, don't self-sabotage. You just label it ZOS acceleration in progress.
Exactly.
This deep dive has really reframed reality for me. It's moving from seeing it as this fixed, challenging operating system that requires brute force effort to viewing it as a hyper-efficient GPU display. The key isn't grinding harder. It's learning to shift your observation point, your eye, and letting Z retrieve the already written future log.
And this leaves you with a final thought from the source material. If the world is a precise, self-recursive movie engine created by Z, and you now have full access to the roles of the director, the actor, and the editor of that movie, what specific unnecessary effort, worry, or striving for proof are you currently holding on to that the ZOS could handle automatically? If you just stabilize the system and allow the reality GPU to adjust and render the inevitable next frame, it's worth exploring what you can truly let go of today.